Hey, I'm back. Good to see you, or good to have you seeing me. Got some more questions, viewer questions today. So if you have any of those, leave them below. But without further ado, um, how do we know when a belief is truly justified? And what allows us to differentiate a knowledge-based belief from an opinionated one? Or all beliefs inherently opinions? So I think what this first part of the question is getting at is subjective truth versus objective truth. I think that's kind of what's meant by knowledge-based belief or opinion-based belief. And so the struggle is with this notion of objective reality. My experience of reality is a subjective first-person experience. Your experience of reality right now watching this video is also a subjective first-person experience. And so is everyone else's, wherever they are, doing whatever they're doing. There's no perspective of an objective reality. In fact, this whole idea that there is an objective reality is completely theoretical and made up. It's not actually true. Reality is entirely subjective and different from person to person. And so there is no objective truth per se. There is simply the subjective experience of reality. And then, when you realize there is no objectivity, the notion of subjectivity also sort of falls out the window, right? So there's no objective reality, there's no objective truth, but we do have consensus, right? I see a tree over there, and you see that same tree over there, so we have a consensus that there is a tree over there, but that's all we have. We have a consensus. We don't have proof of an objective reality that we know for sure exists. All we have is consensus between subjective realities. So I think, yeah, if your question is getting at what I'm thinking it's getting at, all beliefs are inherently subjective, and because your experience of reality is subjective. And so we don't want to get too caught up on worrying about, what is, the real truth, right? Because what we feel is what really matters. What we feel is our experience, okay? And so, how do you know when a belief is justified? That's what we're getting at, right? And this comes down to how we feel. There's two thought systems prevailing in our experience: the thought system of love and the thought system of fear. So the thought system of love is what is true. The thought system of fear is what is false. Love is what is, fear is what is not. And so the reason we know this is because, well, from the absolute perspective of reality, from God's perspective, right? Does God fear? No. Why would God fear? There's nothing outside of God. There's nothing unknown, right? From God's perspective, there is nothing equivalent to God in terms of its power. There's only one power in reality, God's power. There's not two powers. So if God doesn't fear, we're in God's reality, why would we fear? Right? Fear was evolved, as a physiological response mechanism for animals, to perpetuate and sustain their lives, right? And, that makes sense for evolution. And And so, but we are more advanced than animals. We see the divinity of ourselves in reality now. And so we understand, we are in this transition essentially from primal animal mind to absolute God mind. And so that's what humans are. We see the animal perspective, we see what it is to be a man, to be animal, and we see what it is to be God. We have perception of divinity. And so that is what we are. We are the mix of the animal and the divine. And so we see both thought systems operate within ourselves, thought systems of love and thought systems of fear. And so anything that is love and based in love is true. Anything that is based in fear is false. It means if we are feeling negatively about something, well, then we are misperceiving reality. We are perceiving it from we are lacking awareness of some aspect of reality, right? And that is what is causing the fear. So you can think of it like this. Love, or what is real, is the fundamental substrate of our experience. It is the foundation. It is fundamental. And then fear comes on as these sort of little overlapping layers that just layer on top of the love that is what is real. And the fear prevents us from seeing the truth of love. And so once we understand what the fear is, then the fear naturally dissipates. We see through it. We shed the light of conscious awareness on the unconscious, right? So the animal was unconscious of its divine nature. As we start from animal, we become more and more divine as we transcend the temptations of the flesh, right? And so the fear naturally dissipates. It's not that we have to build up this courage to overcome the fear. It's that as we see reality more clearly, we understand reality from the perspective of God, right? Not the perspective of the separate animal fearing for its life. And then the fear naturally goes away as we understand reality through the perspective of God. And then all that's left is love. That's all that remains, because that's all there ever was. So why did God create this, perception of fear, the perception and the experience of being an animal, evolving to a man and then to a God, or true nature? Well, that's a separate question, separate topic. But yeah, we can know in general the thought system of love and fear. Use that to guide, is this belief that is attempting to, take my energy right now, whatever belief it is this belief based in fear or based in love? And then you can know. Now I'll go on. Now that we've understood that, I'll go on to say something a little bit different. I'll take a different turn with it, and I'll say that we don't want to have beliefs at all. On the path to liberation, which is the path we are on, we are trying to liberate ourselves, right, from our suffering or discomfort or whatever. And the truth is that our beliefs are actually the one thing that is standing between us and seeing reality as it actually is. Because if you remove all the labels, all the beliefs, all the stories about who you are and your identity and what you want, how you think reality should be, and all this, once you remove all of those ideas, that is left is perfect peace and bliss. And so you can remember that analogy I was using before about love being the foundation of our experience, and fear being these sort of layers just put on top of the foundation of love that we need to remove. So fear and our beliefs are synonymous in this analogy. Our fear is caused by beliefs, false beliefs about, assumptions we've made about our identity, and about what's good for us and what we think is how reality should be, right? These are all beliefs that lead to our fear. And so really the goal is to systematically recognize and deconstruct all of our beliefs that we've been building up our whole lives. And the systematic, continued undoing of all of these beliefs removes these layers that are blocking our awareness of what is already, which is love. That is why they say enlightenment is when the wave realizes it's the ocean, because the wave was the ocean the whole time. The foundation of reality was love the whole time. But we just need to recognize that we are not separate from reality, that this belief in separation is a complete illusion. And whenever you understand that first belief, the implications of that belief start slowly unwinding all of the other beliefs that were built on top of that one primordial belief in separation. And so I think the intention is to not have any beliefs, right? That's our goal, is to just not believe in anything. We experience our reality and we verify through our direct experience. And it's okay to have, working theories, right? But they're all theories, they're all working theories. We don't get set on anything. We are always open-minded. We need radical open-mindedness as a prerequisite for being able to see reality clearly, so that all of these beliefs can be systematically unwound and removed, leading to our liberation, our freedom. And so it's this radical open-mindedness. I'll give you an example of just how radical our open-mindedness needs to be. So if I drop a ball 100 times, I pick up a ball and I hold it in my hand and I drop it, and it falls to the ground, and it just falls 100 times in a row. I pick it up and I drop it, or if I go to drop it the 101st time, yeah, I have the working theory that it will fall when I drop it. But I don't know that it will. I don't pretend that I know, because the truth is that I don't. Because anything is possible. Anything is possible. This is the level of radical open-mindedness that we need to be striving for, to be best equipped to be able to see reality clearly and undo our beliefs and spot, our subconscious beliefs as they come up around our life catalysts, as the challenges life brings to us. So do you experience, or how do you experience the law of contrast in everyday life, is another part of the question. Contrast is all I can see. And as you refine your awareness, as your awareness deepens, what is literally happening is your ability to perceive sensations clearly and accurately is increased. And as your ability to perceive sensations clearly and accurately increases, you perceive more subtle sensations that were never in your awareness before. They were always available to your awareness, but they never quite made it into your perception, because you cannot perceive sensations clearly and accurately enough. And so, as this awareness deepens, you see contrast play out on a deeper and deeper level and more subtle ways. Um, and so, my experience right now, personally, I only see contrast in reality. There is no singularity in my perception. Singularity would be, the baseline nothingness, emptiness that is us, that all of the sensations appear across, right? The nothingness, the emptiness is the canvas. All of the sensations that pass through our awareness are like the paint on the canvas, all right? And so all of those sensations, there's contrast in order for all of those sensations to exist. To perceive light, there must be darkness. To perceive form, there must be emptiness. To perceive, high energy, there must be low energy. For happiness, there must be sadness. For consciousness, unconsciousness, right? There is no experience outside of polarity, outside of contrast. So, it's just that we perceive these contrasts, we perceive more of them, and we perceive them more subtly as our awareness expands. Do I perceive the world as more colorful and vibrant? Not necessarily more. I always perceive the world pretty vibrantly, but the world is very beautiful to me. Very beautiful. I could spend hours looking at ants crawling around in the dirt. You could watch ants and bugs crawl around in the dirt for hours and hours and hours, and you will still know nothing about them. It is you can learn all the information in the universe, all the information there is to know. You can learn just from watching bugs crawling around in the dirt. So any aspect of my experience is infinitely beautiful and inspiring and amazing to me. So yes. And do energetic frequencies in people reveal their intentions more clearly in your life? This is another personal one. Yeah. So, as far as seeing people, as you perceive reality more clearly, sensations more clearly, as your awareness deepens, it doesn't just apply to some aspects of life, it applies to all aspects of life, including interpersonal relations. And really, you can only know yourself. The only true knowledge is self-knowledge. And this journey is a journey of self-discovery. As you discover yourself and come to know more about yourself on a deeper and deeper level, you find that is really how you are able to know others, is by learning about yourself and understanding yourself. And you see what you learn in yourself and what you experience in yourself is in other people, because we are all different, but we are all the same. And on a more practical sense, you can tell a lot about somebody before they ever even speak to you, just by looking at them. Somebody's posture, the way they're standing, their facial expression, how their facial expression changes, the way they're breathing. You can learn so much about somebody just from seeing those three things. And then whenever they do decide to speak, you can tell a lot about their tone of voice, the words they choose. And of course, you develop a, kind of a profile based on what they say and their behaviors. But yes, in general, whenever I am with people, I know more about them than they know about themselves. And, I mean, that's part of what being a coach is all about, helping people is all about. And that's how I am able to help people. It's because of that. You see, people express their unconscious, whatever is in their unconscious oftentimes is expressed. And if you can see that from a third party perspective and then reflect that back to them, that's very useful for them. And that's how I like to help people. I help them ask the right questions to themselves so that they can come to know themselves better and stuff like that. But yes, as you deepen your experience, know more about yourself and about reality, you absolutely know a lot about others too. And really the best way to be able to see others clearly is to have is to meet them with a new mind every time. You have, even if you've met the person and you know them well. I know people, I've known them for 10 years. I see them every time they're a new person, because the truth is that you and I and everyone, we are always a new person in every moment. And so, yes, I remember, what people have done, and I don't forget it, and I keep it in mind. But I also dissociate that from how I see them in this moment. I see them for how they are in this moment as a completely separate person from my idea of them in the past. And then as I have those dissociated, it allows me to have the least amount of judgment, least amount of bias, which allows me to see them as clearly as possible. That's the way you see people and reality as clearly as possible, is by removing your assumptions and judgments and beliefs about that person or about that thing. Come into it with fresh eyes. Then keep the know-nothing mind at the forefront in relation to people, and you will be able to see them most clearly. So it's a bit of a paradox, it's not like you forget entirely. You still have the memory of what you know about this person or whatever, but you just dissociate it, and you hold it completely separately from how you are seeing them now. And then, if you need to make a decision, then you can combine them in your, awareness and to have a decision. But keep them separate until that point comes. And then when it's time to make that decision, you bring those two together and make it. But yeah, if you have a bunch of ideas about people already, then you're going to be projecting all that stuff onto them whenever you're seeing them. So you won't be seeing accurately. It's projection versus perception. If you're projecting, then you can't see clearly what is outside of your projection. And so definitely want to be mindful of our own tendencies to project, and not let that happen, so we can see clearly. All right, I think that's it. That's the points I wanted to get across. Thanks for asking the questions, Shuminator. Thanks for watching. Leave any other questions down below. Go check out my new video on free will if you liked this one. Like and subscribe. Peace.